Okay, when I was in my mid-20s, I was a manager in a supermarket, and I was working a lot of hours and under a lot of stress. And I found I was getting very anxious at that time, and I went to see my doctor, and from that time I was given antidepressants. That anxiety never ever really settled down. I was able to keep going, but in my late 40s I was working for a guy in North Yorkshire, and having a very difficult time at work. I was under a lot of pressure, and really began to suffer from depression quite badly. It was a situation where I was being bullied and undermined at work by the guy I was working for, and a situation came about where finally I just broke, if you like. I had a breakdown, and I left that work. At that time, because I was in such a bad place, although I wasn't really going to church at that time, I'd always believed, but I found myself praying to God to help me in that situation, and asking me to take me out of that place that I was in, and just help me. So nothing happened really for a number of years. It took some time for me to recover from that, and then some time later, some years later, I found God through an old friend who I found on the internet, who led me to God and led me to this church. And coming into this church and learning really what God was about in my life, and the teaching that I had here. Things began to change, but I was still struggling with bouts of depression from time to time, and anxiety attacks. And so I sought some help from within the church and was able to go and speak with Steve Jones and have some counselling with him. That made such a difference, because I realised really how insignificant, if you like, the problems that I had were. That I really didn't have to live in that past anymore. I didn't have to let that define the person who I was. I was now someone different. I knew that I was a child of God. I knew it up here, but it hadn't sort of reached here. And then one morning in church we were singing that song, that I'm no longer a slave to fear, which had such a big impact when I first heard it. And I suddenly realised that I'm off that medication. I'm not suffering anymore from those symptoms that I had, and that I was truly free. I realised that singing that song was the first time I'd sang it, and I was truly set free and was a child of God. So that I no longer was a slave to that fear that had held me through my life.